He is the senior editor at MMAfighting.com. Luke Thomas rejoins us now here at 120 Sports to talk about a legend fighting for the last time in his hometown, Sacramento, California. The California kid himself, Urijah Faber, going to take on Brad One Punch Pickett tomorrow night. What has he meant? And I know it's hard to kind of quantify it, Luke, but what has he meant to mixed martial arts and certainly the UFC?
Man, it's a lot, and it's not even just that. If you think about California, it's perhaps the most important state for developing talent, and maybe the most important territory in the world for developing talent in the history of the sport. And he's on the short list of the top fighters or even figures in terms of making that a thing that it is, right? I mean, that's the kind of contribution we're talking about, both as a guy who came out of there as evidence that good fighters could, both in establishing a base where other good fighters could get together and make themselves better, as a place that UFC could come and put on shows reliably and sell 15,000 or more tickets in Sacramento, which, they wouldn't go. I mean, they would go to Sacramento, but not to the same extent if it weren't for him. So to me, it's hard to explain exactly, but he was, if you just look at his accomplishments in the cage and what he did outside of it, it would be wrong to say he was a big-time pay-per-view star. That's not true. But what is true is he, I think, among others, helped blaze a path that showed, you know what, these lighter weight fighters can be something special. They can create identities, they can build local followings, they can do good ratings on television, and maybe even more. He was one of the first guys to show that was possible. Of course, he did a bunch of other things, becoming his own businessman and things like that, but that's, I think, the biggest accomplishment in his very storied career.
You alluded to it, Team Alpha Male, obviously in Sacramento. A lot of his fighters are going to be up there, including Paige Van Zandt in the main event tomorrow night. Is that going to be the legacy for Urijah past his own fighting career? Will be Team Alpha Male?
That's a good question. It's really hard to say what direction Team Alpha Male goes and how much control he exerts over it and what kind of role he has. Certainly, I feel like Team Alpha Male is a big part of his legacy. I just don't feel like one way or the other, for all their successes and for all their, they've had some failures too. I don't think that's the sum total of it. I think he kind of stands on his own. I just feel like what he did was, not only did he create one of the more important teams in mixed martial arts, but he was one of the first guys to sort of clue in. And you don't see a lot of other guys do this. In fact, it's really the only camp like this in the world where he said, let's get guys of similar size and similar backgrounds, and let's have them all train together when they compete in similar weight classes, because this way, if we all get better and we bring in people to help us, we can get better at scale. We can all get better very, very quickly in similar ways. And you see the dividends of that. Now, maybe they haven't had as many UFC titles as some other camps, but I think they're kind of onto something. It's a very innovative approach, and you can see they've had a lot of victories in the cage, and that's no small reason why.
To the fight itself against Brad One Punch Pickett, fun fighter to watch in his own regard there. I know it really doesn't mean a whole lot, obviously, because this is the end of Urijah Faber inside the octagon. What do you expect to see out of these two?
Brad Pickett has had his troubles in the cage recently. He's, I think, on his career downslide, but he's not done. I think we all have to kind of accept that. He can still punch really hard. He can still wrestle. He, too, like Urijah Faber, is a veteran. I'm expecting a very tough fight for Urijah Faber. If he's not careful here, big punch from Pickett can put him down. That guy can deliver. So I'm expecting Urijah Faber to win. I still think he's got a little more left to give. I think he's the better athlete, and I don't think he's taken nearly as much damage as Brad Pickett, but I'm expecting a close contest early, and then Urijah Faber to turn it on a little bit towards the middle and late. I think he'll win via stoppage, certainly by decision, but Brad Pickett can make it interesting at any point in that contest.
One last hurrah for the California kid. Can't wait to see Urijah Faber in the octagon for the last time. Check it out, Luke Thomas, MMAfighting.com.